3, 2, and 1. Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful, staples of the Edmonton Journal. And I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. The Oilers are not. That was one of the worst losses of the last 2 years. I'm going to say it was. There wasn't a not a lot of positive in that Game 7-2 loss to the Carolina Hurricanes, Bruce, and the Oilers just did not have it in the slightest. What was your take on it?
My take was that game sucked, and that the Oilers mostly sucked. Is my take. I do like this new look of yours, though. Your head on Connor McDavid's shoulders.
Is that what I have there?
Yeah, that's how it looks at the moment.
There he is.
There he is. Yeah. There. Okay. That actually does look better.
Yeah, it does. So I will agree with that, Bruce. I definitely agree with that. He's got that. Connor McDavid has that intensity. My wife was saying today, you know that show Andor? Mm-hmm. You don't probably get Disney Plus. I don't get Disney Plus. But there's a show Andor. It's based on Rogue One, and the lead in Rogue One was this. I don't know the actor's name, but his name in the movie was Cassian. Anyway, my wife was like raving about this guy, how sexy he is, because he's got this quiet, serious intensity. And I said, like Connor McDavid. I think that's what McDavid's got going for him. You know, he's not like Brad Pitt or anything, but man, he's got that serious, quiet intensity. Maybe not tonight so much, though. He was one of the culprits we're going to be talking about tonight, Bruce. We don't often have him on our crap list, but he's definitely on mine tonight. We're starting with this is our two good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. And because it was such a crappy game, we're going to start with the bad things first because it doesn't make sense otherwise. You go ahead, or should I go ahead?
You go first, and I'll clean up the rebounds the way Carolina was.
And poor old Jack Campbell's known to make a few rebounds. Okay, Bruce, there was many things that went wrong in this game, but the 2 most glaring things by far, the thing that really, made sure they're not winning this game. Well, there's probably, but you can't let in goals in the last seconds of a period. You get through the first period, you come out, you have not a bad start. You get some grade A shots. You're doing okay. And then Carolina comes on in the second half of the first period. They're getting grade A shot after grade A shot, but they're not going in. And if you can just maybe get through that first period, maybe you can get to the second and eke out a goal. In fact, with 40 seconds left, McDavid puts one off the post, kind of comes out of nowhere. Carolina's been putting all the pressure on. McDavid gets one off the post. They come down to the other end of the ice. The puck goes in the corner, and Connor McDavid is beat for the puck. And he's bowled right off the puck by none other than 6'10", 300-pound Teuvo Teravainen. That is Teuvo Teravainen. Teuvo Teravainen. I've got my Don Cherry Poppy on today, so I'm butchering all the European names, Bruce. Is how it's going to go. Teuvo Teravainen?
Toivo. I think.
Toivo.
I don't know. My Finnish is poor. I'm way better at Swedish than Finnish.
Teuvo Teravainen, 6'10", 300 pounds of muscle. And he knocks McDavid off the puck. It was as bad as Connor McDavid has looked in a puck battle since he entered the NHL. He didn't...
he never touched the puck, David. It was his puck. He had a 70-30 puck there. And he didn't attack the puck, and then he tried to, I guess, stand up and sort of reverse check Teravainen, and that was a total fail. And Carolina, Aho that chipped the puck into the corner where McDavid should have got it. He correctly got an assist on the play because McDavid never touched the puck. It was weak.
It really was weak, and then Tyson Barrie deflects it in his own net after that too, which wasn't great either. But really, the play is there's 21 seconds left, 25 seconds left when that happens. You just got to, kill the play. Make sure you kill the play. I remember like in Ken Dryden's great hockey book, The Game, I think he talked about how Scotty Bowman would always in the last minute of every period would have Bob Gainey and Doug Jarvis out there on the ice to kill off that key moment, that key momentum changing moment in a hockey game, and just how crucial it is in that moment to be on your game, to be aware, to be conscientious, to be on your toes. McDavid usually is. He's been playing fairly strong defensive hockey the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Not on that play. Then in the last second of the second period, with I think the Oilers honestly were already out of the game by then, because of Jack Campbell's gaffe. But I think to make it 3-1, but theoretically you can still come back. But Dylan Holloway turns over the puck at the offensive blue line, which is with 10 seconds left to go, 5 seconds left to go. It's just like a fundamental mistake. One of those things that is harped on constantly. Get the puck in deep, kill off the game. Don't get scored on in that last minute of play, and he makes that mistake. And the Oilers, they come down the other way, and both defensemen, I thought, were also kind of backing in, and everyone was kind of backing in. Kulak and Murray were backing in, and finally the puck's right in the slot area, the home plate area, and there's what I thought it was actually a fairly difficult shot, a backhand shot from that area.
Great shot.
It was a great shot, right off the post. A hard shot, and it might have been nice for Campbell to make a save, as Louis DeBrusque says he should have. I would have been happier on the third goal. But anyway, it's in the net, and the game's, if the game wasn't over then, or before then, it was over then for sure. Even though Jack Michaels kept reminding us the Oilers may or maybe are going to come back. I wasn't buying it tonight, Jack.
He doesn't want people switching channels.
I think they're instructed to say that, maybe. Yeah. Build up the drama, whatever drama you can find. Try to make it interesting and exciting, and as if there's a hope. But there didn't ever seem much of a hope. Yeah, it is. It is what it is. I don't blame any announcer for doing that. They're trying to create excitement in the product, but I wasn't buying it tonight. Bruce, what's your bad thing?
Oh boy. Well, I got a long list, David, but I think I am going to go with that 3-1 goal after the Oilers finally did bang one in to make it 2-1 and get back in the game. And it was about 3 minutes later? 2 minutes and 59 seconds later. And I'm not sure if it was Carolina's next shot, but it was certainly their next time that we made an entry on our sheet, not because it was a grade A shot, but because it was a goal from outside, where Andrei Svechnikov, who is apparently kryptonite for Jack Campbell, he did the exact same thing he did in Edmonton a few weeks ago when he came down the ice and just fired a outside shot. Like, the defense was no help. They both backed in, Ceci and Kulak, on that play. Somebody could have stood up to, especially knowing who it was, Svechnikov, and forced him to shoot from a little further out. But the fact is, he fired the puck from above the circles. Campbell could see it all the way. It hit him in the glove and off the glove and right on into the net. And I think that really took the life out of the Oilers. Like, if they had any chance of a comeback when they made it 2-1, it was gone 3 minutes later. And frankly, I never really thought they had much chance of winning this game. They just did not play well throughout.
Yeah.
But that one specific play was a killer, and along with the two very late period goals, like you say, there's just, as Jay Woodcroft said in his post game, self-inflicted wounds, and he used that term 2 or 3 different times, and it was hard to disagree with his assessment.
And maybe one inflicted by the refs. I don't know about that penalty on Ryan. Like, technically, he shoots it over, but it's just almost like a deflection over the boards. I guess.
Shooting it over the glass is one thing. The puck's in the air and you're battling for the puck, and it happens
to try to knock down the puck. Yeah, and so that was essentially a 3-on-5 goal because it comes right at the end of the 3-on-5. when Ryan's not in the play yet. So if they don't have that 3-on-5, maybe there's no goal there. And again, that's a difference. But I'm with you, Bruce. I didn't really see the Oilers having much. Interesting though, Bruce. The grade A shots were 18-14 in this game for Carolina. So with the Oilers with 9 5-alarm shots and Carolina with 8. A lot of the Oilers' damage was done on the power play, of course, which was pretty sharp. But
and their 2-hole chances.
Yeah, and their 2-hole chances. Well, they should be grateful for that, shouldn't they? That's a lot for the Oilers in a game. All right, your good thing, Bruce.
Well, I'm going to go with the second Oilers goal by McDavid, which in theory brought them a little bit back into the game at 4-2 down in the third. But I'm merely going to single it out because it was one of those McDavid moments and a beautiful goal that off of a decent play, kind of similar in some ways to the game last game where Tyson Barrie was involved in getting McDavid the puck with some open space in it, and it was actually a goal where we credited all 5 guys on the ice for having something to do with it. Draisaitl won the face-off. Kulak slipped it over to Barrie, and Barrie held it and then timed his pass to McDavid in the corner, and McDavid was kind of isolated against poor Calvin DeHaan 1-on-1. And that's the same thing that happened the last game. Remember in the 4-on-4 when maybe it was a game before that, they had the 4-on-4, and it was a game in Washington. They had the 4-on-4, and Barrie and Draisaitl set up McDavid, just isolated him against one guy, and McDavid just beat the guy like a drum, and then beat the goalie like a second drum. And this sort of same thing happened here, but one of the reasons he had space in this 5-on-5 was Brett Kulak coming in off the point and making a hard charge to the net front, and also Jesse Puljujärvi making a fantastic pick play, I will call it, although we don't actually have a positive code for pick play. I think we called it a hard charge, but really what Jesse did was a total eclipse of the sun on number 5, Jalen Chatfield of Carolina, just pushed him right out of the way and gave McDavid some space to go to the backhand side, where he did and promptly roofed a backhand from about 15 feet out. And it was a brilliant individual play by McDavid, and yet an individual play where all of his teammates had an influence on it. So kind of an individual goal and a team goal all at once. So that was my 5 seconds of happiness in this game.
Little lone dopamine hit of the game. 15 goals in 15 games, right? So that's pretty darn.
15. He's had 1-1 in all 3 games on the road trip so far.
I liked the play I liked from Kulak actually was him going through the slot, taking his man, because usually defensemen don't make that hard charge, and he took a player out of the play as well by doing that. And then Puljujärvi, you're right, he really did block him. It's a nice blocking play there. He was doing his best Art Shell impersonation, mandatory 1970s sports reference, my second of the podcast, maybe my third. All right. Yeah, that was a really fine goal. And did I have a bit of hope for a second? Of course I did. I'm an Oilers fan. I'm thinking anything's possible. You put Connor and Leon together, they could put in a few more goals. You just never know. But the next goal after that, the Oilers didn't get another grade A shot in the entire game, Bruce. Not one. After that, Carolina had all of them, and
3 more goals.
3 more goals, including so many weird goals. Just so many weird goals. That the next goal, which came 7 minutes later, was kind of a weird, deflected shot. Rebound comes out, and then it gets hacked once and then twice, battered out of the air by the Carolina attacker into the net. It was like, what is going on? It was
by the silken hands of Jordan Martinook. There you go. It was one of those kind of games, David.
Yeah. My good thing, other than the game being over, is that the Flames lost, Bruce.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah, there's my good thing. I think it's 7 in a row for the Flames. Ooh. Everyone was saying going into the season the Flames are a good team, I wasn't sure. I don't know what I said, but I wasn't buying that either. Like they had a lot of turnover on that team, and Matt Tkachuk, I think, has been the straw that stirs the drink in Calgary, and he's he's quite a hockey player. I think.
He's
Like I
good.
think Matt Tkachuk is a really good hockey player. Like you'd want him on your team for sure. And I know Kadri is also a good hockey player, and Huberdeau is a good player. But I was, curious about Huberdeau. How's he going to do? Um, he's a bit of a finesse player. Who's been on some good lines and had kind of a career scoring year, if I'm not mistaken, last year. So I was wondering how that's going to work
Yes.
out. I thought the Uyghur trade was really good for them to pick up Mackenzie Uyghur. I heard someone say like they've got the best defense in the NHL heading, and I just thought, well, what? I mean, against the Oilers, just crushed them. They sieved them. Now
Great
Tanev was
Rasmus
hurt.
Anderson, David.
Tanev was hurt, but
Yeah.
the best. I just thought, what?
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
Well, their defensive record was good. I'm not sure it was because their defense was that great. And
Yeah,
anyway,
maybe Markstrom. I don't know. Maybe just like a team where everyone knows its roles. That whole thing. Everyone plays strong defensive hockey. That can be the case. I mean, um, you can teams can crank it up and play long, long. They can play a full season of strong defensive hockey if that's their game, right? And they all know it. But anyway, they've lost 7 in a row, Bruce. That is my good thing, and it's a very good thing indeed. What's your number?
yeah, my number is 9 out of 15. That's how many games the Oilers have allowed at least 4 goals so far this season. And that is a losing proposition. Nine games of 4 goals against. They managed to win, 2 or 3 of them. 6-5, 6-4, 7-4, but more often they're on the losing end, 7-2 tonight, 6-2, 4-3, 4-2, 4-3, 5-4. And, they're just not good enough to keep the puck out of the net. And, when they scored at the end of the first period, I was so frustrated. And I sort of thought, why are you so mad about that? And I'm thinking, it's so rare that the Oilers ever even make it through an entire period without giving in a goal.
Yeah.
Here, they've almost played a 0-0 first period. It wasn't perfect. In fact, the second half of it was pretty bad. But I thought, well, they're going to get out of this 0-0. And then they nearly scored. And then they give up that really soft one with 20 seconds to go in the period. And they're down 1-0. And that's just the beginning of it because they've given 3 in the second and 3 more in the third. And their defensive play, and I won't just single out the defensemen, but the forwards and the goaltenders all play their part in this. Their defensive play has just been pretty much woeful. They've given up at least 2 goals in every game but one. So they're just not really a threat to win the tight games. And I mean, sure, McDavid and Draisaitl score most games. Well, that's 2. Now you need 2 more just to tie the 4 that you're giving up.
And it's up and down the lineup with the defensive mistakes, Bruce. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
all
Oh,
the
yeah.
players from McDavid and Draisaitl on down. And they're the leaders of this team, right? Like so they're part of it. Like this is a total team collapse. Maybe that's too strong a word, but it's getting to be collapse-ish proportions on defense this early in the year. They've got to get it together. I mean, McDavid said it after the last win. Finally we show we can play some defense. Yeah, it was great to see, and more of it, please, because we can't have these kind of glaring mistakes that are made. People will blame this game on Campbell. Fair enough, but it's not just Campbell.
Oh, no.
There was just endless mistakes by all the players, and you can't have it. This team isn't good enough to have that. This team has the talent level, I think, of a really good team that can win the Stanley Cup. But all those teams would have something in common. They would all play like defense, like there's no tomorrow. They would all just buckle down and play defense. This isn't a team that's going to win the Stanley Cup on pure offense. It's not that good. It doesn't have the depth scoring of that kind of team. They've got to play strong defense. Bruce, we realized, if we didn't see this before, I mean, last year in the playoffs, they almost lost to the Los Angeles Kings, a not great team, just an okay to good NHL team, and they almost lost because of their weak defensive play They finally cranked it up in Game 6. They got it together. They played strong defensive hockey. They continued that against the Calgary Flames, and they thumped the Flames. They tried to do it against the Avs, but the Oilers were all banged up by then, and the Avs were just too good. The effort was there. This year, though, it's like we're playing the LA Kings again in the first 5 games, where we're just coasting through every second game on defense and getting scorched because of it. And the Oilers, they've got to wake up. They've got to play better defensive hockey. Ken Holland addressed that in an interview this week on Oilers Now with Bob Stauffer, saying that he was concerned about some of these guys who haven't been scoring, because they then get it in their head, I got to score, and they start to cheat for the offense, and then they start to give up chances at the defensive end. We are seeing that, but we're also seeing the best players on the team consistently make mistakes on grade A shots against. It's the entire team. It's the best players. And they've all got to get a lot better. It's not just Jack Campbell, who is off to a super iffy start. And I'm going to get into that right now. That's my number. But it's the whole team. So I'll get on after my rant there. I'll now rant about Jack Campbell. A new rant. 2 for $1. Okay. At the Cult of Hockey, we go over video and we track major mistakes on grade A shots against. And one of the things we track is how many mistakes the goalies make. And it's typically 3 kinds of mistakes. They'll either make a bad rebound right out into the slot, or they'll turn over the puck while handling the puck, and that'll lead to a grade A shot against, or the most hideous and terrible of all mistakes in a game. They'll just flat out miss a shot that they should stop. And so I'll start there, because that's the worst kind of mistake. In 10 games, Campbell has, according to our calculations, Bruce, and people sometimes say, oh, you guys are biased, you like this player. Well, we have no feelings about Jack Campbell. We want him to succeed, but no more than any other goalie. We want them all to succeed. We want them all to do well. So far this year in 10 games, he's let in 6 goals where he's totally flubbed it, where he should have had that, including the Svechnikov shot tonight. 6 goals in 10 games. Mike Smith, all in 28 games last year, he let in 8. So Campbell's 6 in 10 games, Mike Smith 8 in 28 games. Mikko Koskinen let in 11 in 45 games. Last year, Stuart Skinner 3 in 13 games. And this year, Stuart Skinner 1 in 6 games, just 1. So Campbell's rate of the worst kind of mistake is kind of off the charts. His overall rate of mistakes, though, is also really high. He's made 18 such major mistakes on grade A shots against in 10 games. That's 1.8 per game. Mikko Koskinen was at 0.62 per game last year. Stuart Skinner, 0.85 last year. And Mike Smith, who was a high event goalie with lots of turnovers, was at 1.4 per game last year. But again, Campbell's at 1.8 per game. So his overall rate of mistakes is higher than we saw last year from any goalie, far higher than Koskinen or Skinner, and higher than Mike Smith. So he is just really having a rough time in net. He is not settled. He's not. I don't think he's himself. I didn't watch him last year in Toronto, so I can't say for sure. But I can't imagine he would have made this high rate of major mistakes last season. But he is going through a major rough patch right now, Bruce. Ain't no doubt about it. He's having a hard time.
I'd really hoped that last game was a turnaround for him. And I was reasonably confident. And then tonight I thought he was good in the first period, and I got that late one, of course.
Yeah.
But once that 3-1 goal went through him, it was like saloon door the rest of the way. And again, it was not just him. Part of it's the defense in front of him, but that's the reason you bring in high-paid goalies, is to clean up some of that stuff and not to create some of their own, which, admittedly, the 7-2 goal didn't make a whole lot of difference, but it was ugly. And the giveaway where just basically gave an open netter to Jesper Fast, officially unassisted goal. But there was there's cracks in his game. I mean, all those numbers that you gave on goals, David, were basically 1 every 4 games, whether you're talking about Skinner, Smith, or Koskinen.
Correct.
And for Campbell, what'd you say, 6 in 10 games? I mean,
yeah,
like that's more than double 1 every 4 games.
Yeah.
So
that is not good. It's not good. Yeah. It's not good. Poor guy. Oh, he'll get it together, but he has not done so yet. I was hopeful too after that game because he really looked good against Tampa, and he looked good at times in this game too. But then that shot came from Svechnikov. He's just got to hope that Svechnikov never shoots again on him.
Well, he won't this year. I mean, that season series is over.
Thank goodness.
Svechnikov is second in the NHL with 11 goals, and he has more than half of his goals against one team from the other conference. 2 hat tricks against Edmonton. Oh. I mean, he's a good player, but I noticed he only has 5 goals in all of his other games combined, so he's not that good.
Alrighty, so the next game is
Saturday afternoon.
Matt
Tkachuk, fresh off his 2-game suspension that he got for trying to poke a goalie in the eye, and the suspension was crafted in such a way that he's returning just in time to play the Oilers.
Yeah.
Them's the breaks, I guess. But anyway. Just one comment, David, on the penalty shot tonight. The Oilers actually got a penalty shot, and it was a correct call. Dylan Holloway stepped in alone on a breakaway, got hacked in the attempt of trying to deke the goalie, and wound up missing the net. So he got the penalty shot, and he went in, and again he tried to deke the goalie, and again he missed the net. And put that with the breakaway he had earlier this year when he tried to deke the goalie and missed the net. I'm thinking it's about time he maybe thinks about shoot the puck. Fancy, it's not working yet. Get a little successful. Gain a little sort of confidence with the disc, because that was. I mean, the puck laid flat from the whole way in, and he just flubbed the last touch on the penalty shot. He had some moments in this game, but he also had some moments where, and we've seen this most games, where the inexperience shone through. So. That play at the end of the second, Hyman was passing for Draisaitl, I thought, and Holloway intercepted it coming across the ice. And then he tried to make the play at the blue line and turned it over, and Carolina came down and scored. 1 second left in the period. I mean, that's a painful one. And as the boys were saying on the broadcast, Jack and Louie, they were saying that he's had some tough luck in that it seems like every time he makes a mistake, it winds up in the net. I don't think that's quite true, because he does make a lot of mistakes, but it's truer than it should be. Like an undue number of them have pay the ultimate price on that play, and this was yet another example. Sometimes I think just simplify it. And again, he had some great moments in the offensive zone, I thought, but shoot the puck.
Shoot the puck. All right, Bruce, we'll leave it there. Before we go, though, I just want to recognize tomorrow is November 11th, Remembrance Day. And I want to give a shout out to all the veterans that I know. Through minor hockey, I got to know many of the dads were either in the military or former military. So my respect to them, thinking of them and my grandfather, my father, who served. So it's a big day.
My dad served as well in World War II. He went overseas in late 43 and stayed through the end of the war, and all he gave 3 years of service to the military, and in return he got his education paid for, and it made a big turnaround in his life in the end, in the positive. But of course, many of those who served did not get any subsequent opportunities later in life because they gave their life. And that is something to be remembered and honored.
Indeed. My dad also went through he was in the military after the Second World War. He went through the officer program, so they paid for his university as well. So it was a big thing for a lot of people to get them. I don't know if I think they still do that, but it certainly put a lot of people through university who might not otherwise have gone when it was not as common for people to go to university. So
they gave my dad a choice, and I think this was standard fare for coming back from the war: either a house to start your family with, or or paid for university education, and he chose door number 2. Of course, many others who were in the trades or whatever would have more use for the, for sort of starter level house, but, roof over their heads. So at least there was some kind of situation in place where the veterans who did survive and ultimately help in the ultimate success of that World War II, at least, were got some tangible benefit from it, and as it should be.
Yeah, indeed. Yes, I got a little emotional there thinking of Remembrance Day, but more because my dad's in a bad way right now. He's in very, very poor health, so thinking of him. All right, Bruce, thanks for talking tonight.
My dad passed 15 years ago this month, so I've been thinking of him throughout, always at this time of year. Anyway, thanks for listening, everyone. Go get him next time.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast. All righty.